Okay, so we're going to start today working with form. And what form is, we've been drawing from references such as photographs or whatever, and the information's already there and we have to repeat it. We have to draw it, then we have to see where the values are and shade it, which is a little bit easier to me because the information is already there. So like I talked about earlier in class, we were going to kind of get to the point where we're going to learn some techniques to be able to draw from our own brain and make something look three-dimensional and apply the correct shadows without having to use a reference and just using information that we can learn. So what we're going to start with for our assignment, this is going to be one of a few practice assignments before we get to some of our final drawings where we draw stuff from our brain without a reference. But we need to learn some skills first. So the first thing that we're going to do is just talk about form. So let's just start simple with a circle, and I'm going to use my H pencil because it's lighter and it's easy to erase. So I'm just going to kind of make a circle here. Doesn't have to be perfect, and I don't know. So, and as you're doing this, I'm going to have you use your H pencil, but I'm going to go ahead and put in the B pencil so it's a little bit easier to see. So right now I'm just drawing a simple circle. Nothing has to be perfect. Okay, so there's my simple circle. Right now it's flat, and to make it look three-dimensional, I'm going to eventually add values. But to kind of know where they need to go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this two-dimensional circle into three-dimensional using some contour lines. So I'm going to just use my H at first. You probably won't be able to see it great. I'm just going to kind of put a ring in there. Now, I'm just going to go over it with my 2B so you can probably see it a little better. So it looks like there's a little orbit inside it. And it doesn't matter if it goes straight up and down. Either way works. We're just using it to kind of put some dimension in there. Now I'm going to draw a ring about the same size going in a different direction. Notice I'm not have to be perfect with these. You can kind of sketch it out. So now it kind of looks like it's got some orbits in it. So what I'm going to do now, just so you can see it better, is I'm going to outline these dark. I'm going to do one going one way. So this one's kind of, I guess, kind of horizontal, kind of not. And then I'm going to take this next one and you could have done it with any of these. So I'm going to kind of make them dark so you can see them. So now you can kind of see the three-dimension of this. There's kind of a point right there that they come to. And I could even make a third one if I wanted. But these little lines now give the ball a sense of it being three-dimensional. And this is going to be really helpful when you start adding value to your shapes. So I'm going to do a few practice ones of these, of simple shapes, so you can kind of see the idea. So I'm going to do this one kind of, I guess, kind of like an egg shape. So take my pencil so you can see it better. So it's almost similar to the circle, but not quite. So now I'm going to put some little circles in it. I'm going to put enough, so I'm just making some circles in there. So now I have some circles. I'm using my H pencil so they're light. So right now, I'm gonna go through and make them dark, just so you can kind of see them. And notice I'm keeping them all in the same direction. They could have gone the other way. It doesn't matter. These are facing kind of to the left. You could face them to the right. It doesn't really matter. So as you can see, that's already kind of making it a little more rounded. But now I'm going to draw a contour line the other way. So I'm going to draw a circle this way. Maybe I'll do a couple. Maybe I'll do 2. Now let's do 3. So now I can take my pencil. We're going to have 3 of these lines. So now, as you can see, it's very 3-dimensional. And what I like to think about is, I like to use this middle line here, this middle line here. I just like to use those as a point of reference for where my oh, now I'm blanking out, where my, the core shadow, that's it. So this is the line where I'm gonna have my core shadow. So I just kind of like to keep that in mind. That's gonna be my darkest point. If you remember from our other lessons, we know what a core shadow is. So my next drawing I'm gonna do similar to this, but I'm gonna go up and down just for something different. I'm gonna make the top a little skinnier. So it's kind of like a pear. And I'm just arbitrarily picking shapes, keeping them pretty simple, but adding a little bit of complication, a little bit something different. So instead of it just being a ball, I've kind of added this on. I'm gonna do the same thing. Gonna make these little rings. So now I have these little rings. So now I'm just gonna follow them again. I'm gonna outline it first, so you can see my shape. So you can kind of see the same thing. Now I'm going to put a line down the middle. Now see, this curve's a little different because I'm following the outline edge. So see that? It's not straight up and down. This center line where the core shadow would be has got to follow the shape of the outside. Maybe I'll do it on this side, and it's also going to follow the shape. So once your outside contours are different and not just circular, you've got to follow the outside. So now we can see, you know, this looks 3-dimensional. And I mean, if you drew this in the bottom, you could see if it was see-through, you know, you could see where the bottom of it was. So now it's kind of 3-dimensional, and I could make either one of these sides be the core shadow. Either one of these. So now I have an idea of where my core shadow would go, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So let's do a couple of other simpler shapes. How about we do, let's do something a little different. I'm going to make a thin shape over here, and I'm going to do something a little different. So this one's a thin shape, but I kind of want it to be a little different. So I can't really do, I can kind of do the, I'm going to do the rings actually, and then I'll kind of show you what I'm going to do. So I have all these rings in here, but instead I'm going to go and I'm going to kind of make them more at a little bit of an angle. So now what this does is this kind of makes this side a little flatter. So this would be more like a pancake shape where it's flat on the top, but then it, you know, got almost squared off right here. But I know this is where my core shadow would be. Then I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna do that. So you can kind of make the contour shapes based on if you want it more squared as to more round. So that's just something a little different. All right, let's do a couple of more. So maybe I'm gonna make this shape right here. It's kind of like a vase. So we see vases everywhere. It's kind of got a circle shape in it. So I'm just progressively trying some different things. Same thing. Maybe at these top and bottom, I'm going to make the rings first. So now, once again, I'm just going to go in and now we got to do the other contour lines just the same as this one. So I'm going to go and I'm going to follow and based on, you don't need one down the middle because if you look at it straight on, it would just look flat. Wouldn't really have a curve, maybe a little. Can kind of put one in. Let's put one in with a little bit of curve, like you're looking at it sideways. So you don't really need that one down the middle. We're just doing this as practice so we can learn to see form in 3-dimension, because this is going to help us know where we put our shadows in the end. Okay, let's do, I don't know, let's do one like this. It's kind of like a piece of chicken, I guess. So this one I'm going to do some little teeny ones down here. Guess this one kind of looks like a piece of chicken or a fish. So once again, I'm going to go back. Going to put in these contour lines. Okay, so now we have the contour lines. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to put my contour lines in the other way. Once again, following the shape of these outer lines. And if you want, like I said, like we did on this one over here, you can make one that's almost straight but curved just a little. So you can kind of see the idea. And then maybe that could be my core shadow, or that could be my core shadow. So, and we'll talk about the core shadows later, but these lines, you know, these are going to be our core shadow lines, wherever we choose to put our light source. We'll talk about that later. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do one. It's important too to keep your pencil sharp as you do this. My 2D is getting dull, so it'll help you keep things a lot cleaner. So let's do a shape like that. So kind of like a vase that's got the inside sucked in. Guess kind of like an hourglass. So we have that. So I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do a little circle up here. Maybe do a couple of small ones right here in the middle. Okay. There's one. There's one. This is hard to do without turning my paper. So now we have that. And so now I'm going to do a couple of the contour lines the other way. Let's do one kind of down the middle that, once again, that's just kind of so we can see. Keep in mind, I'm just showing this third one just to kind of give it more form, but if you looked at this straight on, like I said, it would just appear to be straight up and down, but for our purposes, I'm gonna do that. So let's do one more right here. Let's kind of do a triangle, I guess. So I'm gonna do kind of a rounded triangle. Same thing, gonna get my H pencil. And do the same thing. However, this time, maybe I think I'm gonna go the other way. And make my things, my cross lines go up. So now what this does, as you can see, it's different. This actually tilts this backwards and you see the bottom of it. So also you can tell with the way you put your lines such as this, we see a little bit more of the tops. If I tilt them and go up, it gives the illusion that I'm looking at the bottom. And this will kind of come in handy so you'll know what angle you want to do your drawings in. So now I'm just going to kind of do the same thing. Make some contour lines going this way. And that's what we have. So these are some pretty simple shapes. And I'm gonna make a next video and we're gonna slowly work our way up to more complex shapes before we talk about how to put in the values.